One.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hard Nine Pod. I am Mike Noble, and joined, obviously, as always, with me is my co-host, Caleb Noble. Finals week up there at University of Illinois, so almost done with this semester, correct?
Yep, just about. I only have like two more things to do, and then I'm done. Thank God.
Yeah, finals week always stressful. It was never too terrible for me as a speech comm major. Not that difficult. No, not disparaging my other speech comm majors, but it really was not that difficult of a finals week ever for me.
No, I wouldn't think it would be. But yeah, that doesn't sound hard at all.
Today is December the 11th. 2 weeks until Christmas. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those of you who celebrate something else or don't celebrate anything at all, happy holidays, because that's what we do here.
Yep. I don't think I can add anything to that one.
Listen, so before we get to the Cardinals, which obviously we're going to spend the majority of, we really wanted to hit the starting pitching. Seems like that is a massive hot button issue right now on social media, on the call-in talk shows, on MLB Network, the need for the Cardinals to add starting pitching. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but we did kind of want to get to a few things since we've talked last time. We'll finish it up with the Contreras contract because I think that leads into the starting pitching. But I do think a few things, a lot of moves still happening right now. And some ones that we didn't talk about. One that we didn't hit on was Mitch Haniger to the Giants. Sneaky move for the Giants, actually.
Yeah, it's a good move. They need to get a star, or their offseason, though, is a failure. Like Haniger's a good player, but you need to go get someone to bat in the middle of your order, or I don't really care what else they do. I don't think they need to get two guys. Maybe
Kenley Jansen, the Red Sox, good move.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird because obviously, like we'll talk about, I'm sure in a second, they're kind of the captain of their franchise is gone, and you're spending on Yoshida and Jansen instead of Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah. Speaking of Xander Bogaerts, thoughts?
What the hell are the Padres doing? That's such a dumb deal. Good for Xander, but that is such a stupid contract to give out.
Are you just shocked as I am by these 11-year deals? Like,
I think they're stupid.
Turner 30, Bogaerts 30, 31. I understand it. Look, I understand what you're trying to do. Bryce started out with the 13-year deal. By the way, greatest deal in sports history right now.
That's different, though, because Bryce Harper wasn't going to be 42 whenever his contract ended.
But do you think it is – did the terms ever come out of the Xander deal? Is all the money front-loaded so that at the back of the contract?
I mean, as far as I know, I think it's just 24 every year.
Okay, I didn't get it. I honestly should have looked that up. That's bad on me. But I wondered if maybe they front-loaded that contract to where they're overpaying at the beginning when you're getting prime Xander. Look, Xander Bogaerts might be able to hit for 11 more years, but he's not going to be.
No, we won't. And here's the thing: you know what they did? They're doing, and the ladies get a handle on this. They're manipulating the luxury tax is what they're doing by giving them more years and saying, well, we don't want to have to pay more penalties each year, so we're just going to give them 2 extra years where we know we're probably not – he might even be playing at the end of this contract.
Right.
You want to hear something crazy? If he plays this entire contract with the Padres, he will have played more games and seasons with the Padres than the Red Sox.
Wild. So does this cement that they're moving Tatis to the outfield then, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, obviously as soon as that happened, Cardinal fans and probably almost every fan base, same way, react, Tatis is available. Would you go get him? He's not available. Like, let's just be honest. Also, I think maybe you hit it, but we've talked about this before. I continue to say with Tyler O'Neill, and people keep telling me he's getting traded. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s value could not be lower than it is right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think they're going to trade him at all. Maybe after they sign Juan Soto, if that ends up happening.
Do you
I heard interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but do you believe that was why the Bogaerts deal happened? Because they're not going to sign Soto, or do you think with AJ Preller, obviously you never know, or do you think that it was one of those like safety, hey, protect us. Now if we end up with Soto, great. But if we don't, we're protected with Xander. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's more than that. I think, yes, Soto probably yes. But also Manny Machado has an opt-out after next year. if you'd
Okay.
like to use it. So they protected them against both of those things, I guess. And I think it's also a little bit of, hey, we know we have Manny in 2023. We know we have Soto and Tatis in 2023. Let's go try and win it this year because this might be the only year we have this opportunity.
Yep.
So maybe that's what it was.
What did you want to say beforehand? Sorry, before I stepped on your
I don't know,
comment
but if you're Xander Bogaerts, I love Xander Bogaerts, by the way. He's one of my favorite players in baseball. If you're Xander Bogaerts and you see Trey Turner, turn him down. Okay. So that's their first choice, turn down. Second choice, 14 years is what they were offering Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
What the fuck? 14 years. So turned him down. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just go throw 11 at you, Xander. Are you a little bit like, hey, what the fuck? I was your third choice? Why does nobody else want to take your money? Like, you're overpaying for everybody. What are they doing?
I don't think he looked at it that way because that man made so much money that's what he's looking at.
I heard something interesting. First off, the Red Sox only offered him 6 years, 160 was their best offer. So
right.
$120 million less than what he ended up getting.
So
Is what
roughly
they offered.
$27 million a year.
Yeah. That's actually a fair offer, to be
Correct.
fair, for Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
But the Padres had to so overpay for him because he wanted to go back that he legitimately could not have said no.
Right.
You can't say no to the deal they offered you. You cannot say no to $120 more million than the Red Sox gave you. You just can't.
Yeah. No, I agree. And also the union probably would not allow.
Remember coming into this season when the talk was high AAV, low amount of years was going to be the new thing because Correa did it, because Scherzer did it, Verlander, different situations. But and then we see DeGrom get 5, and then we see Bogarts get 11. We see Correa get 11. We see, Judge get 9.
Right.
Nobody learned a damn thing from Albert Pujols. It's like they forgot. They saw him come back and start hitting again. It was like, oh, we can make guys be able to do that. What is going on?
It's wild to me that the narrative, and I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I logically understand the narrative, but that the narrative is that because of all of this, that now immediately the Mets, the Padres, and the Phillies, obviously Phillies coming off the World Series, I understand it, are so much better than the Cardinals. Just because you're spending so much money, guys, does not equate. Like, I don't know how often to say it. The one with the most toys does not always win.
They never do. When I want to go back pre-Yankee dynasty, okay? How many teams with the highest payroll have won the World Series? I want to say 0.
And to be fair, let's be fair with that Yankees dynasty. Half of those guys were Yankee draft picks.
Yeah, but they always had the highest payroll, so that's why I put in that qualifier.
But they also paid their guys. They paid Jeter. They paid Bernie. They paid Pettit.
Well, they also brought in A-Rod. They brought in
They paid
Tex.
Mariano Rivera. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that, that's 5 massive guys that were them. Obviously, they went out and they got Messina. They got Tino Martinez. They got Scott Brocious. They got David Justice. They added guys throughout. What?
A-Rod, Teixeira, those guys.
But I'm saying, like, I think Cano also homegrown. A lot of people forget that one of their main core outside of A-Rod with the long extension was homegrown.
Yeah, the Yankees they've always gotten kind of that, oh, they spin big, they buy championships. They create almost every core they ever have. Like, they really do. Like, they've always been good at developing talent.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Mets. Mets. Can we talk about the Mets?
Okay, let's get to the Mets then. Could you repeat what you said? Siri's yelling at me. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought that was me. Why is my voice so Siri? It sounded like me.
Why is Siri British on my watch? And why is he yelling at me? But that's all right.
I don't know. Okay, so they signed Kodai Senga. Well, 5 years, $75 million with an opt-out after 3, I believe. Way less than I thought he was going to get. I thought he was going to get at least 20. And then they signed Justin Verlander. We talked about that already. Brandon Nimmo to a $160 million deal for an older Lars Nootbaar.
Remember when Cardinal fans were saying we were going to go after Brandon Nimmo, and everybody's like, we're not. That's like you're going to not get into a bidding war with the Mets and potentially the Blue Jays or the Rockies. Like, they're not good. Also, why would they go sign Brandon Nimmo? Like, the logic, sometimes they've lost logic.
Okay, so here's what the Mets have done.
Also, hold on. Let me add to what you're talking about, because you forgot Jose Quintana.
I know, but I wasn't going to name everybody. Okay. I will in a second. Here's what they've done. They're up to $345 million in salary. that means they're getting penalized $80 million
Yep.
for luxury tax, okay? And here's what they've done. So they added Verlander. We agree, Verlander's great. He replaces Jacob deGrom. Mark it out. Doesn't matter, okay? Same thing. You did the same thing. You got Edwin Diaz back. Okay, it's Edwin Diaz. He's still back. You got Brandon Nimmo back. Okay, he's
Hold
back.
on, did you say he's still bad?
Back. He's still there.
Oh, I thought you said bad. I was like, whoa,
Okay.
whoa,
No,
shot at
no.
Timmy Trumpets out of nowhere.
Stop. He's still there. Okay. You replace Chris Bassett with a guy who's never pitched in the big leagues in Kodai Senga. Okay.
Correct.
See how that goes. I don't think he's going to be better than Bassett was last year, but maybe.
Yep.
You replace Taijuan Walker with Jose Quintana. So far, everything is a wash. And then the other thing that they've done is they got David Robertson, good reliever, replaced Adam Ottavino's production last year. They haven't gotten better, and they've added $80 million in payroll.
And what they signed Roberts 1 year?
$10 million. What has he done? Has he made his team better at all?
Hold on. This is what you and I talked about with the Yankees last podcast. Yeah, you get Judge back. Awesome. They're still not better than they were last year. And I agree with you on the Mets. Now, do I believe that the Phillies are better? Potentially. Now, let's not forget they're going to be without Bryce Harper till July. However, when you bring in Trey Turner, you're going to be just fine. And let's not forget, we've seen the development of Alec Boehm. He's probably only going to get better. That's my assumption. I assume that guy works his ass off.
Bryson Stott's
probably going to get better. Bryson Stott's only going to get better. We know what now. Again, this all depends on health. But you also went out and you addressed the pitching by adding. Why am I drawing a blank here?
Taijuan Walker. From the Mets. Here's my thing. Even if you want to argue the Mets are better than the Phillies, I think it remains to be seen. I don't know yet.
Agreed.
Same with the Padres. Thing. The Mets have spent the Phillies have spent a shitload of money, and their team has gotten exponentially better.
Agreed. I agree with you.
The Mets have spent way more money, and their team could even be worse if Kodai Senga is not good.
The other most important thing I think, outside of, I guess, for the Phillies, is they haven't lost a piece. Yeah, you could say they lost Bryce Harper. Also, do not come in July and say that's just like them making a trade. No, it's not. Like, we got to eliminate that phrase.
No, they made every move. They made every move they've made.
That is not how this works. That's not
how
they
make every move they make knowing Bryce Harper will be back.
Right.
So no, that's not how it works.
But like, they have not lost from their core. I mean, obviously Kyle Gibson gone. So I guess you could say, well, they lost Kyle Gibson.
He had a 5 ERA last year.
They're not. I doubt they re-signed Noah Syndergaard. But you're still looking at that four of Wheeler, Nola, Iglesias. Suarez, and then Walker. That's a very solid four going into. You and I talked about this last night or 2 days ago. We still believe the Braves and the Phillies are the best two teams in that division. I don't care how much money the Mets spend.
I think the Braves are better than both of them. I don't even think it's close.
There's an argument to be made there.
I really think I look at the Mets and the Braves. There's an argument to be made the Braves rotation is better than the Mets. If not, it's close. It really is, because I think Strider, Fried, Morton, and Wright are really, really, really good. Their bullpen is leaps and bounds better than the Mets. It's not even close. And their lineup is way better than the Mets.
Now, hold on. We don't know what do you think they do at the back end there with Jansen now in Boston?
Raisel Iglesias.
Okay, you think he moves right into that?
And then they just got Joe Jimenez.
Okay. Well, okay, so that's fair.
Their bullpen is better than the Mets. Now, their lineup is better than the Mets.
We still don't know what happens with Dansby yet, so that's still terrain to receive.
I don't really care.
Right. You probably either put Grissom, but you got Arcia also there, who also proven big league shortstop, by the way.
Yeah, Vaughn Grissom, I have no reason to believe he's not going to come up and be a star again.
And can we not forget that they also are returning a healthy Ozzie Albies?
Exactly.
And
alongside another Matt Olson being there for a year, getting more comfortable. Acuna being another year removed from his torn ACL. They did what they did last year with Acuna being like maybe 40% of Ronald Acuna.
Right. And
what happens if he's back?
Another year of Michael Harris. Obviously, people are going to say, hey, what about a sophomore slump? We'll see. We don't know. Maybe. I doubt it. That guy.
Even if he does, though, his glove's not going to slump.
You also have the best catching duo in baseball.
Yeah.
So, we're in agreement there. A couple other things before we get to the Cardinals, because we do want to get to that as well. Yoshida with the Red Sox 29-year-old outfielder. What do you think about that?
It was a horrible deal. What are you signing him for $100 million for? He's never played in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Everything I've heard about him is that he can't field and only hits for contact.
Well,
you just sign another Alex Verdugo.
Well,
I don't understand what they're doing.
Okay,
Verdugo's
well, that's
fine.
fair.
Like, good for him. Good for him. I'm glad Japanese players are coming over here. But can we
Same.
give some of these guys a prove it deal?
Same.
Prove that you can do it.
A few guys before we get to the Cardinals, give us. We were on board thinking. I mainly was very kind of loud about it that I thought the Giants were going to make a big splash. I like the Haniger deal. I still think they're in on Rodon. I don't know. We're going to get to him in a little bit anyway. Do you think that Carlos Correa ends up a San Francisco Giant?
No, I think it goes to a team that no one's expecting, and I don't know who yet.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I just think they've got so much money and they've been talking about being active. He's
I
really
agree.
the last big piece that's out there. So what about Dansby Swanson? You think Dansby ends up in San Francisco potentially? I mean, that's Brandon Crawford, right? You're replacing Brandon Crawford with Brandon Crawford. I mean, is there something I'm missing there? Aren't they a lot?
Brandon Crawford has had a way better career than Dansby, but
well, okay, Dansby's been in the league for 4
well, I think Brandon
years.
Crawford's give him a little bit more credit than that. He's been a far better player than Dansby Swanson ever has been in his career.
I guess what I'm talking about is at age 28, 29. I mean, I think that if you project out Dansby's stats, my guess is when his career is said and done, it's going to look a whole lot like Brandon Crawford's. That's all I'm saying.
I think his 30s will look a lot like Brandon Crawford's 30s. I don't think his 20s looked anything like Brandon Crawford's 20s, if that makes sense. Brandon Crawford was a great player. He's underrated in my opinion.
We're both big Brandon Crawford fans.
I love Brandon Crawford.
I think there's a lot of similarities to be drawn there.
I think towards the latter half of their career, they could become very similar second half career players. I think Dansby's going to be a Cub. His wife plays for the Chicago soccer team. A lot of smoke have been around that. That's where I'd pick him to go currently, but sometimes that doesn't matter as much as we think it does. Correa, I mean, I could see the Giants, and logically speaking, that would make the most sense. I just think if they were willing to throw the bag at him, why haven't they done it yet?
Speaking of the Cubs, are you shocked that they've spent $35 million $30 million, whatever it is, on Jameson Taillon and Cody Bellinger?
Why didn't they get Kodai Senga? Why didn't they just give him 20 a year?
What did Taillon end up signing for? I should have that in front
of me. Was it 18 a year or something like that?
Hold on. I think it was like $35 million for the two of them.
Yeah, hold on.
Also, do you remember when Cardinal fans were telling us that you could get Bellinger at a deal for like $5 million a year, and we kept saying you can't?
Yeah, it just wasn't going to happen. When enough people think they can do that, it's not going to happen. 4 years, 68 for Taillon.
Okay, so not great at math, but that's about 17. No, carry the 17 million. So yeah, 35 million. Like I said, for Bellinger. The hilarious part, we signed Contreras for 17 and a half.
Yeah, before we get into that, because I do want to get the Contreras contract, because that's really interesting.
Lead right into our starting pitching, which
but
we want to talk about.
I want to shout out Jameson Taillon, because if you guys don't know Jameson Taillon's story, he had cancer.
Yes.
He's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He's had a very, very tough road to get to where he is. Just shout out Taillon for being able to finally get paid. He has security for 4 years, 68 mil in the bank. So good for him. He's had a tough road, and I hope he finds. I don't like the Cubs, and I don't want them to be good. But I hope he's really good while he's there.
Top 4 free agents, I guess, still left out there with Correa. You think there's a surprise team? I could see it being the Giants, but I could also see Swanson there. If you think Swanson Cubs, that makes sense. I'm not going to argue that one. What about, Syndergaard? What do you think happens with Noah Syndergaard?
I don't know.
I don't
I just don't consider him a big free agent. He's not very good.
He's a name. That's a big name, right?
He's a name, but names don't fool people anymore.
Well, Cody Bellinger got $17.5 million.
That's different. He's still in his prime, potentially. Prime in years, age-wise. He's not a pitcher who's lost 7 miles per hour in velocity. I don't know, and I don't really think I care.
Rodon, where do you think he ends up?
Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to make another big move along with Judge. They have to. So I think he goes to the Yankees. And Steve Cohen's outclassing them money-wise.
Anybody else out there that we're missing? Not only Steve Cohen outclassing them
money-wise,
you know what else he's done? He stole the highlights from the Aaron Judge signing. Like, he is, I think, running the New York newspapers.
Which is kind of funny because, like we said, they haven't really done anything. They've done a lot without doing anything.
But the Yankees have to hate that. Do you know, like, Hal Steinbrenner has to hate that. So
I don't know if he cares. Chris Bassett, that's the one you're missing.
Any big ones I'm missing that we've
Bassett.
Huh?
Bassett. I've said it 4 times. You keep not hearing me.
All right. What are your thoughts on Chris Bassett?
Cardinals.
Really?
I think so. That's my pick.
Okay, so we'll get to that here in a couple minutes. That leading into that, really cool to see Wilson at the press conference. Obviously, this man doesn't just say the right things. He believes the right things. That's the way I look at it. Like when you read all of his quotes, when you read the letter that he penned, when you hear him showing up to watch Albert hit the home run and he's picturing himself behind the plate with that. And he said, I knew that day I was going to be I'm paraphrasing, I was going to be a Cardinal.
Or that he wanted to be a Cardinal.
Could the guy come in and make himself more beloved in the first 2 weeks of a signing? Have you ever seen anything like this? First of all, again, I don't think any of it's Fugazi. I think this is Wilson Contreras. That's what I've heard about Wilson Contreras, and I am so pumped for him to be a Cardinal right now, like beyond pumped.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, even like you watch Jacob deGrom. I was watching his press conference because I still find that deal incredibly fascinating that someone gave him that. So I watched it. And he tropes everywhere, not very no offense to Jake, he doesn't have to do that, but just kind of like a normal press conference you'd expect from a guy who's making a shit ton of money, and that's obviously why he went to the team, because they paid him a shit ton of money. But Wilson, for him, it was very genuine. And here's the cool story that I saw come out was, I don't know who it was, Derek Gould reported it, I believe, and his agent said after the meeting where Marmol and Mo went down there. And after that, and after Yachty giving him a jersey saying, you're next, I don't know if Yachty knew he was going to be a Cardinal or what was going to happen there. And then all the stuff that had happened, he said, I know there might be more money elsewhere with the Astros or whoever, but if you can get it done, I want to be a Cardinal. So that, to me, like, that's who you want. And people can complain about the contract if you want. I don't know why you would, but if you do want to, whatever. But you want to have guys that want to be here. And the fire that dude plays with. And here's another thing. The Cubs didn't want him back.
No.
He wanted, I think if you would have put him up to a lie detector test, he'd probably say he wanted to be the Yachty or Molina of the Cubs. That's probably what he would say. They didn't want that. If that's not motivation for a guy who's played his whole career with a chip on his shoulder, I don't know what is. So that's something that excites me. And I think we should get into the contract a little bit. Because
that's what I wanted.
Very interesting.
That was my lead in. You did see. You don't have to bury the lead with the lead. Like, just let it flow naturally.
Okay, don't teach me journalism.
That's what I was doing.
What are you doing? I hope no one's listening to this audio, because they're gonna have no idea what just happened.
I was sending you that was the perfect transition, and you're like the one who tells the joke and then explains the joke.
I wasn't explaining anything. I was saying, let's get into it. It's called a transition. Have you ever written an essay?
I was trying to throw you the softball.
Well, you threw it the wrong way. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So he's making.
Remember your first swing with Pop Warner?
Can you shut the fuck up and let me talk? Okay, so anyway, Wilson Contreras' deal, not 5 years, $87.5 million. It's 5 years, $82.5 million, with a $5 million buyout if they do not pick up the $18.5 million club option for 2029. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
It's crazy that we're talking about 2029.
28 for 28.
28. Okay, 2028. Yeah. So he's making $10 million this year, and then 18 every year until the fifth year, where he makes 18.5, I believe, is how it worked out. For me, and I want to hear your opinion on this. The Cardinals don't do that if they're not wanting to make another financial commitment this year. And here's why I think that. I think they're able to give him the 18 every year after this, because Waino's off the books, Miles is potentially off the books, Monty, Jack, whoever. They'll bring back one or two of those guys, but those guys' money as of right now will be off.
Correct.
I think they could be looking at it as, if we give you 10 now, we have a position to now spend somewhere else and be able to pay you and that person next year, because we have all this money coming off in 2023. Why else would they do that if they're not planning on paying someone else? Because to me, it would be more appealing to them to just pay 15 every year, unless they're planning on doing something else this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what I will say to that is, I don't know that means it happens before the season. I'm not saying it doesn't. But what I do think is it also gives you flexibility to come the trade deadline. If somebody bigger than what we know becomes expected or becomes available, bigger than expected becomes available, it could be your Chris Bassett, which we're going to talk about the starting pitchers here in a minute. It could be any of those factors. You know, I know that I saw. Oh God, I can't think of his name on Twitter. Cardinal guy writes for Viva Alberto's.
I don't know.
Hall, whatever. Oh, either way, he was talking about how don't maybe expect a big move. Even still, spoiler alert. He said Jason Hall. Ooh, Jason Hill.
I don't know. Just say what he said.
I just want to give the right guy the credit here, but I don't know. I think with Mo right now, obviously you can't tell me that the meeting with Nolan was just we're signing Wilson Contreras. Like you can't, you know what? It was bigger than that. Which, by the way, you tweeted about this. I've seen a lot of people also kind of follow suit. Imagine what Nolan Arenado would have got had he opted out of this contract. Because I don't, and I think I'm in the same boat. I don't believe he'd be here.
No, there's no way. Because if he would have opted out, he would have been opting out to get money. That would have been the reason.
Correct.
And the Cardinals, I don't think they would have been able to do it.
No,
Stomach it. I don't think they would have.
So by the way, makes me love him even more.
That's what I said. I said that's the most loyal thing I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he didn't do that. Like, because
so can people stop saying he didn't want to be like that? He might not want to be here. Well,
those people are stupid, so I don't entertain them. Here's the thing: if his agent looked at this market and said, "Hey, Nolan, you're the only third baseman available. It's not Brandon Drury.
Right.
Your hometown team that spends a boatload of money every year needs a third baseman. If you opt out, I guarantee this was a conversation. If you opt out, you're going to get a lot of money, a lot more than you have now. Not to mention, if you opt out today, $20 million from the Rockies goes into your bank account today. Like, Agreed. That's what would have happened. And he would have been, and if no one cared at all about that, he would have opted out.
Yeah.
But he
didn't.
Agree.
So how, I mean, that's two other things that we didn't hit on. Josh Bell signs. I don't think we ever talked about him.
To the Guardians, yeah.
Guardians, yeah. Good for the Guardians, by the way.
Needed some power in that lineup.
Solid Guardian move. Also, Kevin Kiermaier just signed with the Blue Jays. They wanted defense in center field. They've said that. That means they're moving Springer to right. Shout out to Kevin Kiermaier for continuing to get paid to play baseball because that's fucking awesome. And he's one of the elite all-time defensive center fielders. But I guess there isn't a but.
I've got multiple thoughts. One, it's going to be interesting because remember when Kiermaier stole the little piece of paper off the ground from the Blue Jays and they got drilled? So now he's in that clubhouse. I don't think it's going to matter, but that's kind of funny. Two, what the fuck is wrong with the Blue Jays? They traded away one of their best hitters because they wanted a left-handed hitting outfielder. And then when it came down to brass tacks with the Cardinals, they tried to get Ryan Helsley.
I know.
What are they doing?
Danny Jansen, by the way.
Yeah. Were they banking on the Cardinals trading them Lars Nootbaar? And the Cardinals were like, no, we're not trading you Lars Nootbaar. I think that's what happened. I think they thought they'd be able to swing a trade with one of their catchers for a legit left-handed hitting outfielder. And when you look, and then when the teams look at it, they're like, this is not a one-for-one trade. Sorry, you traded Teoscar Hernandez, but you don't get my starting right fielder that's left-handed when the shift is going away for the first time. I'm sorry. Like, what is wrong with that?
The worst move the Blue Jays have made in the last 20 years was letting Alex Anthopoulos get away and get down to Atlanta. That might be the one that ruined their day.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do, Dad?
We talked about on here with the Sean Murphy thing, and now obviously speculation coming out of what they really wanted. I said very specifically, I think the price is going to be incredibly high. I'm not the only one who said that. I'm not patting myself on the back. That's just the way when they started saying words like, we don't have to trade him. We are looking for major. You could read the writing on the wall. What they were asking for from the Cardinals was absolutely idiotic. Thank God Mo didn't do that. Thank God Mo didn't trade Helsley and.
You want to get into specifics?
Toronto for Danny Jansen. Yeah, I was going to let you do that.
They were asking for Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan, so two of your top six hitters, and two players that will play every day. By the way,
also incredibly cost control.
Yeah, and Gordon Graceffo.
Yeah.
Or a power pitcher like that. So Graceffo and Hens were the two guys probably. For a catcher, no offense, catchers are very important, but I am not trading you my rookie Gold Glover who can play every position on the field, my spark plug outfielder who was leading off for me in the playoffs, and my top pitching prospect for 3 years of a catcher. What world are they living in? No one's giving them that. I get you want to get the most you can, but you're just not going to get that. So come down to reality, Oakland. Like, that's not happening.
I agree. Thank God. Thank God. Like I knew, I had a feeling it was, and there were people out there. Oh, trade whatever it takes to get some. No, do not,
Don't
do
trade
not.
whatever it takes to get any. That should never be a thing. I hate
I
this.
agree.
Go all in, just go get him. No.
Yeah.
You know what? Sean Murphy still hasn't been traded. If they would have just said, "Okay, take what you want," that's stupid. What the price goes
Agreed.
down. It's not how it
Agreed.
works.
100%. All right.
It
So let's
took them
get
2
to.
years. It took them 2 years to get Nolan Arenado, and we gave them nothing because Mo was patient. Patience works sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to the starting pitching situation for the Cardinals. As we've kind of talked about Rodon, we've talked about Bass. So listen, I have been on record pretty vocal. I love Carlos Rodon. I think he's an awesome pitcher. I have said all along, I just don't see the Cardinals doing it. I don't see them paying that kind of money. Like he's going to get $30 million a year. All right, and now the
For 7
reports
years.
have come out. Now that's boom. The reports have come out that he wants 7 years. I would first of all, I'm not paying any starting pitcher or giving them 7 years. I'll give you more AAV for way less years. I'm not doing that. And again, I've also been on record saying, and I will stick by it, unless he has turned a massive corner, which he was great last year. That seems to happen when pitchers go to San Francisco, a lot of them. The year before, they shut him down early. He was very good. Don't get me wrong. He's been great the last 2 years. But the rest of his career suggests either A, he has figured it out, which could be the thing at 30 years old. He's figured out his pitching mechanics. He's figured out his pitch usage. He's figured out his spin rate, whatever. That is very, very possible. I'm still not paying 7 years, $30 million for Carlos Rodon. I would love him. Don't get me wrong. I'd love him. It's not my money. We've talked about this before. But as a franchise, I just don't see the Cardinals hamstringing themselves for 7 years for a starting pitcher. I could be wrong. And if they get Carlos Rodon, I will be excited because our team is immediately exponentially better. I just don't see it happening.
I would be way happier if they gave him 4 years, $160 million. 40 a year for 4 years than I would be if they signed him for 7 years at 30. I like Carlos Rodon. Before I get into him, I want to say the thing that's frustrating me the most about Twitter right now is people saying that the rotation the Cardinals have is bad. That is completely just wrong. It's not a bad rotation. It has it's a fine rotation that has a very limited ceiling. That's what the rotation they're dealing with. It's not a bad rotation by any stretch of the imagination. They have 5 solid big leaguers in their rotation. Like
Correct.
that. So saying people like our pitching's trash, and I keep getting comments, oh, they got Contreras. Well, who's going to pitch? What do you mean who's going to pitch? They have 5 big leaguers that are proven in their rotation. Now, they need to go get a better one. I agree, and an ace, but their rotation's not bad. It's just not as good as you'd like it to be.
Right, and as it stands now, just to explain, you have we're counting on a healthy Jack Flaherty as our number one. If Jack is healthy, and everybody, oh, he's never healthy. That guy doesn't want to be here. That guy hates St. Louis. Just trade his ass. Right, whatever you want to read into it. But if he's healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in the National League and in all of baseball. We've seen it. Your number 2 heading into the season is going to be Miles Mikolas. I want to get to him in a little bit, but after last year, solid bounce back year. He was your game 2 starter in the playoffs. Your number 3 is probably Monty, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yep, and your number 4 and 5 are Waino and Matz. You can put them in whatever order. I would guess Waino's going to be your 4 and Matz is your 5. Now, again, Matz coming off injury, but let's not forget that Steven Matz is a really good pitcher and has had a lot of success at the major league level. And when he came back last year, wasn't bad for us at all. In fact, when he was starting,
he was really good.
He had the freak injury on fielding the ground ball that he should not have fielded. He was cruising along. Let's not forget that.
He took away our chances of getting Juan Soto with one stupid ground ball attempt.
Absolutely. So when you're talking about that 5, that is a very strong 5. And people keep saying you have to get more. And we've tried to explain, okay, we're not arguing. Like you and I have said for 2 years now, I would love to have somebody go either in front of or behind Jack. Like I really would. Because everybody mad about Quintana, that's just another 3 through 5 guy. We've got 4 of those already. If you're going to be I love Miles. We need probably somebody ahead of Miles to move him down a little bit. That makes us better. Correct?
And I love Jose Quintana, but yeah, he's not a 1. He pitched like a 1 for us, sure, but he's not a 1.
Cardinals have shown no penchant for going to a 6-man rotation. So if you sign Quintana, like that's what I don't know and people just want to say, well, you got to have depth. That's not how baseball works, guys. I'm sorry. Like you keep screaming it, it's still wrong. You're not, unless you're going to a 6-man rotation, none of those.
Okay, can I say something
that's the bullpen?
Something that Katie Wu brought up that I thought was interesting was the idea of a swing man. A guy who's really good at the bullpen, but has also had starts, and that's maybe where they go for that depth that you're looking for, which is
Right.
what you should do, like a Palante, a Hudson,
Well, that's
or
what I'm saying. We don't have those guys.
a
That's what I'm
Woodford.
saying.
But
Woodford.
these are higher end swing guys. A Michael Fulmer, that's a guy she mentioned that they may look into. A Michael Lorenzen, another guy, a lot of strikeouts in the back end of a bullpen. He can come in and do a good job. And one that's really interesting to me is Matt Moore, who was fantastic for the Rangers last year. Had it below a 2 ERA, left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen, so he can fill that void. And he can start if you need him to.
You're talking about an opener, essentially. You're talking about an opener.
A guy like me, a swing guy, yeah. A guy that can build up to be in your rotation if you need it eventually, but also can be, can serve a purpose in your bullpen without even needing someone to get hurt. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So those three guys are guys I would keep my radar on, just to see what their market is. If you can get one of those guys, like if Michael Fulmer signs a 1 year, $5 million deal or 2 year, $10 million deal, I mean, I would have no problem with the Cardinals being in on that. I really wouldn't. I think that'd be a good deal for them because he's going to be good out of your bullpen, and if you need somebody, he serves a purpose as well beyond the bullpen.
Correct. Wilking, what was this? We signed another big Wilking. Was that his name?
He's a Rule 5 draft pick.
Yes, correct. So he's on your 40-man. He's going to be on your big league.
He's on your 26-man.
Correct. That's what I was getting to. He's going to be on your big league roster. So
I'm very intrigued by him. He throws a 96 mile per hour cutter.
Michael Fulmer. I mean, you went out and you signed.
They serve different purposes.
I get it, but now if you bring in Michael Fulmer and now all of a sudden you've got Wilking in the bullpen, Drew Verhagen's coming back. We don't know what they're going to do with him. You're now taking a spot away unless there's a big trade to be made. So let's get to that. Okay, you brought up Chris Bassett. All right, you brought up Chris Bassett. If we're signing Chris Bassett, that means we're trading somebody. And you have been along the lines of potentially seeking maybe a trade for Montgomery simply because he's not extended past next year. Let me throw out a name to you that I think I'm more intrigued with trading, and that's Miles Michaelis.
No.
Okay.
And I don't say no because I won't.
Good convo.
I don't say no because I won't trade him. I say no because I think they're going to want him to be the new Waino leader of the staff moving forward because they're losing that. They're losing that veteran that's been in the organization that can show guys how they go about it. They're going to have new pitchers next year. That's just the reality of it. In 2024, they will have at least probably 2 new guys. I want to keep Michaelis around for that turning over of the guard, I think is what
so you're seeing a Miles extension.
I think we'll see a Miles extension by February, and I think it's going to be 2 years.
Okay. That's not been the Cards' MO. It's been 3 or longer. I'm just saying.
They've already done that with him.
I know. I'm saying it like that feels like.
I think Miles Michaelis gets.
I think you're getting into sketchy territory. I love Miles. I'm just saying, as an organization and as a fan and as a team, at some point you have to say we got the most out of this guy that we could have ever gotten in the contract, and with a couple lost years in there. I don't know how much longer you want to extend that. Like
he's only 34.
And
he's pitching better. He's in great shape. He has no sign. He threw 200 innings last year. That's a very valuable guy.
I agree.
And you need to keep one of these guys. And to be honest with you, that's the guy I feel most comfortable about.
So because I don't see anybody taking on Steven Matt's contract, especially again.
You can't. Doesn't even matter if they would. You can't trade that guy. He's the only guy you have after this year.
Right. So it's Monty or Miles if you're making a trade. Or Jack. Are they trading? Like here's the thing: if you're trading Jack and you sign Chris Bassett, you're just robbing Peter to pay Paul.
It's only Monty that they would trade. Here's what's interesting to me about Rodon. There is rumors out there that the Cardinals are in on Rodon. It's John Heyman. He's a Scott Boras voice. That's what he's always been. He's literally Scott Boras' puppet. That's what he is.
That's raising the value of Carlos Rodon. That's what they're doing. By
putting the Cardinals in who people know don't like to spend money. So I don't even think it works, to be honest with you, when the Cardinals are involved. But here's what's interesting. If they save money with Contreras, if they were to deal from their depth, you could say depth. It's a weird amount of depth because it's not depth you love, but they have 5 pitchers who are all the same pitcher, except for Jack Flaherty maybe being able to be better, which is Monty. That's the only guy they'd trade, I hope, because Jack has a chance to be an ace. You don't trade that guy. And Miles is a guy that I just think they're going to want to keep around.
Okay.
Monty would be the guy
I kind of thought they might look at trading Miles.
They're not going to trade Miles. I would be shocked if they traded Miles Michaelis.
Let me ask you this. Hold on, let me ask you this.
Hold on, I was making a point.
Okay.
Now I forgot the point. Oh, what I find interesting about the Rodon thing, they have money available around 10 million to spend if they want to hit that target of 185, like Mo has said. They can go over it if they feel like there's an opportunity to go over it. So everyone looking at this, well, how are they going to do this? They only have 185 million. No, it's not a cap. They can go over it. Mo has shown willingness to go over his budget and go under his budget if he doesn't like an opportunity or he does like an opportunity. If you were to trade, and I hate doing this because I do like Monty, but if you were to trade him away, that frees up another $10 million. So there is a world where I could see them being interested in seeing what it would be like to bring Rodon to the rotation. I just think Chris Bassett's the next level down from that. And when I look at Cardinal free agency signings, I always tend to go the next level down from the best one available.
I'm going to be honest. I don't see them signing one. That's my belief here, and let me explain why. I don't know the value of Jordan Montgomery in a walk year. Like right now, I don't know. I know he's a solid pitcher, but what I'm saying is, what are you unless you're just trading him for a couple prospects? If that's what you're doing, but what team? Like, let's give our fans who would be interested.
Toronto.
In looking at a guy, huh?
Toronto.
Okay. But what? First of all, Toronto's farm system depleted. They're like, what depleted. Are you getting from Toronto?
I don't know. The idea would be to get assets back and to get something like here's my idea is not Bassett, by the way. That's just what I think they would do. What they need to do is they need to package Montgomery. They need to package some high-end prospects, maybe even a Dylan Carlson to get a little bit uncomfortable. And they need to do everything they can to pry Tyler Glasnow out of the Rays' hands and get him in your rotation. That's what they need to do, and that's what I would do. And there's very few players I wouldn't trade to go get him today. Very few.
Right. That's a very.
I would trade Dylan Carlson for him. I would.
The Rodon stuff is fun. It's not. I just don't see it happening. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see Chris Bassett signing happening either. What
if he's probably looking for 20 a year right now? That's probably what he wants. The longer he goes unsigned, the less and less likely it is that he's going to get what he wants.
Correct.
So if it were a 3-year, $45 million deal that got down to that, that's what Senga got. Would you be on board?
I'm not. Okay, let me explain. I'm not saying I'm not on board. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't love Chris Bassett as a Cardinal. He immediately slots into that number 2 right behind Jack, which I think is a spot that we've so desperately needed. Also makes Miles even more valuable. I'm simply saying I don't think it's going to happen because I don't know. I could see them extending Miles. I could see them extending Monty, to be fair. Like, I don't know that they are as fierce into the starting pitching market as people either A, want them to be, or 2, believe them to be. That's what I'm saying. That's
I think there was a lot to be said about the fact that Mo has seen his rotations for 2 years in a row absolutely crumble.
I agree.
Crumble in the middle of the summer. There's no way in my mind that he can not at least try and address that this year.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that, but is Chris Bassett that answer? That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I mean he's steady. He pitches every 5th day, and I don't know. I would be worried about his age. I would, but he's very smart. He's got 6 really good pitches. He doesn't rely on overpowering velocity.
He's only 33. Now hold on. You weren't worried about Miles at 34. Why are you concerned about Bassett?
I'm worried about the contract he's going to get. I don't know. I have more of an idea of Miles Michaelis's the ideal I believe he will get than I do about Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett's getting a 5-year deal. I'm not even considering it. If it's a 3-year deal, like I like Chris Bassett a lot. I don't think he's the swing and miss guy you want that everyone wants, but I do think he immediately makes your team way better. I don't know. This is such an interesting conversation, Dad, because I think I would be trading for a pitcher. I would be going out to teams like Tampa, to teams like Miami, and I would make them tell me no. Like, hey, I know you said you don't want to trade Glasnow, but here's 3 top 10 prospects and Montgomery. Tell me no. And Dylan Carlson. Tell me no. Right. Okay, fine. If you tell me no again, I'll move on. But the Glasnow takes the ceiling of this team to a level that I don't think people understand. If you go into a postseason with a healthy Glasnow and a healthy Jack Flaherty, your team is no longer not favored. There's now people think you can win. And that's big because now your team knows you can win. So I don't know. I think that's what they should do. They didn't give up any prospects for their catcher, which they were willing to do. We know that.
Correct.
Go use the prospects. I love guys like Alec Burleson. I think he can be a really good big leaguer. He's not going to get the chance to be that here. So get rid of him. No offense.
Right.
I don't want to treat him like trash. But like you have too many players. You have 9 spots. Okay? 9. You know you're giving Carlson another chance. You know Lars is in there. You know Tyler's going to get another chance. You know Jordan Walker's coming. You have your infield set with Nolan Gorman as another backup. You have your catcher now. What is the need for all these guys?
I agree.
By the time you might need your Ivan Herrera, who I really like, but by the time you actually need him, you might have 2 other catching prospects ready.
Right. Bernal and Crooks are on their way as
well.
Yeah,
they might be ready at that point.
Yeah.
So go get something you need now, please. Or else why did you sign Wilson Contreras?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because I think Mo's going to have to get creative. Are you nervous that with Chris Bassett, he's only made 20 starts 3 times in his career? That makes you
Are
nervous.
those the last 3 years?
2 of the last 3. Now, to be fair, I'm discounting the COVID year because I don't think you can, So, yes, it is the last 3 years. Yes.
No.
Not discounting the COVID year.
No, because if we're going back to, no, because I'm not worried about what happened prior to 2019 at all. No.
Okay, that's fair.
Just like I wouldn't worry about success prior to 2019.
Let me explain again to you and the listeners. I would love Carlos Rodon here. I would love Chris Bassett here. But as someone who's been a Cardinal fan for over 40 years, I just don't see either of those happening. I know you predicted Bassett to come here. It's going to shock me if they trade Jordan Montgomery, who they believe found something when he got here, that they're just going to go ahead now and ship him out. That's all I'm saying. I think the Cardinals would be way more inclined to give him a 3-year extension than they are to deal him to a team where you're just trying to get prospects back when you got a load of prospects on the way anyway.
Okay, I agree. I agree with you that they would want to give him a 3-year extension, but he's a Boris client. When was the last time you saw a Scott Boris client who's a pitcher in this pitching market sign an extension?
That's fair. I mean, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know.
So I just don't see it happening. I get it. I feel kind of bad because I don't want Jordan Montgomery to be traded. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to find a solution that, 1, makes you better this year, and 2, makes you not have to go into 2024 with 1 starting pitcher because you're fucked if that happens.
Okay, now let me throw out the alternative that I have been very quick to say they have not shown the propensity to do. Okay. What if you deal a Dakota Hudson, all right, and a couple prospects, pretty good prospects. Maybe, I don't like throwing out names. I don't like doing that to people because I don't know. I don't know what the value is.
Are you talking top 10 prospects?
Hold on. I don't know. They'd have to be big, okay?
Okay.
You add a Glass now, or you add one of the pitchers from Miami, and you do go to a 6-man rotation. And here's why I say that. As you just said, Mo has watched them implode with injuries. You got Flaherty. We love him, but he's been hurt. You've got Waino. He's 42. You got
Dead-arm problems.
He's been hurt 3 of the last 4 years. You've got Matt. He's been hurt 3 of the last 4 years. You've got Montgomery. He's really the only one. And if you add a Glass now, let's just say I'm throwing out Tyler, that's another guy who also has been hurt. What is a 6-man rotate? Okay, we're talking about.
Yes, I've been saying that for a while. It makes so much sense for this team.
Also, the only reason Mike Godard, first of all, let me give him a little credit here. He's the one who first brought this up, and you and I kind of poo-pooed it 3 years ago.
But no, you did. I didn't.
Okay, well, fair. That's fair. I kind of want to throw you in there with me. Made me feel better for a minute. But
don't throw me in there.
But again, here's what I'm saying. If you bring in Glass now, you're still or Rodon, you're still bringing in another guy who has an injury past, and there's nothing to say just because you bring in one of those guys that you're not breaking it. So maybe if you go to a 6-man rotation, you keep Montgomery, you got Glass. I'm just throwing out an option.
It's interesting to me. Here's the thing I was thinking of. I had multiple thoughts about this. I've been thinking about this a lot. The Glasnow trade, the reason that I threw in a guy like Montgomery, a guy that they could immediately the Rays put in their rotation today, was because they probably are looking at trading Tyler Glasnow after this season. That's probably what will happen. So if you give them another guy on a 1-year expiring contract and you give them prospects they like, maybe that would make them more inclined to trade him to you because now they can fill that spot in their rotation. So that's why I thought that. And Dakota Hudson's not a guy that they would have any interest in at all because they like strikeouts, and Dakota Hudson can't strike out me if he wanted to.
And I'm not trying to get rid of Dakota Hudson. I still think I think Dakota Hudson could still end up being a very integral part to this team. I don't know what it looks like. I'm
I'm
not giving
I
up on the guy. I've been a Dakota
I
Hudson fan for a while. I'm not giving up on him.
the more I've
But
looked
I'm
into it,
also
the more
saying,
I've realized everything all of his problems last year were problems that he had before
yeah,
his
that's fair.
injury. So it's kind of like he just finally got
That's
bit
fair.
by it. But whatever. I
Yeah.
don't want to crash on Dakota Hudson. He's a cheap seventh
To be honest,
option in
I
your
wasn't
rotation.
saying the deal is centered around Dakota Hudson. I'm centering the
No, I
deal
know.
around the
I just don't think they'd
prospect.
have any interest in even
And
getting him. They
Hudson would
wouldn't
be
want
cost
him.
controlled for them that they could use in a variety of ways, which we know Kevin Cash loves. He's
Yeah,
not just a starter; he's a relief. Like you could use him. You could use
yeah.
Dakota Hudson and be very creative in Tampa Bay with him. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, you could. I don't know. I look at this rotation and I say, one, what is Mozeliak's plan for 2024? Because he always thinking about that. He doesn't just
Right. He
think
has
about
to be.
2023. Are you going to rely on a guy like Henson Graceffo taking that leap and being in a rotation? Because I don't think you can do that right now. You can't afford
Right.
to rely on those two in 2024. And I like I said, I don't want to say I like all five of the guys in that rotation, and I think they
So do
all
I.
five have a chance to be good. I don't know if any of them have a chance to be great, other than Jack Flaherty, and we know what's been going on with him the last few years with injuries, to no fault of his own, but it's following him right now for a reason.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't know where you go. I think they need to do something. Here's what I'll ask you, because you said you don't think they're going to get a starting pitcher, and if you were to say put your money on it, will they get one? Yes or no? I would bet no. Okay, I would play
Same.
it safe and say no.
Same.
My question to you: why, in your belief? Because I don't. Why would they backload a contract so obviously that they were just wanting to get less money for 2023? Because if you're going to only backload 10, if you're going to only pay him 10 and then raise up to 18 every other year, it's pretty obvious to my eyes that they wanted 2023 to be the year where they were not paying him as much as he's going to be getting.
I think it goes
Why
back
do you
to
think
what
they would do that?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier, that could be money that you're waiting to spend come the trade deadline on a guy who you could extend or who is extended past 2023. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but one, you're only paying half their contract at that point. Two, they've already
I'm
done
saying
stuff.
extended past. So now you've got I don't know.
No,
I
that's
don't
not
know
what I'm
that
saying.
answer.
Listen to what I'm saying. When you get the guy like that, you're only paying half their contract now,
Of
right? You don't
course,
pick up the whole
yes.
thing. And they've already shown the willingness to go get a Quintana, Montgomery, and pick up the rest of their contract that year anyway. I don't think that they would be caring about saving an extra $6 million on Contreras
It's a good
for a
point.
deal that they're going to make in July for a player who's going to cost $3 million for them.
Yeah. I don't have an answer. I mean,
To
your
me, it
point is,
seems pretty obvious there's a reason. I just don't know what that reason is.
Right. And I think, again, it's December. We've got 2 months before pitchers and catchers report. Almost exactly 2 months, like very close to exactly 2 months. February 14th, I think it's Valentine's Day. I think obviously we're going to find out. I think it's going to be interesting to see. A couple things. Go ahead.
Okay, one more thing. If you're the Cardinals, why
Always.
would you not go trade for a starting pitcher, a good one?
I know. I'm on board. Please, I want everybody to understand I'm on board with that. I just don't know what it looks like. I don't know who it is. I'm going to say that I am on board. I just don't believe it's going to be Carlos Rodon or Chris Bassett.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
Just maybe not. Maybe it's in the trade market. I don't know. It just seems to me that they're always that one like they have a great lineup. They have a really promising bullpen. And of course, it's the rotation that's back. Some years their rotation's really good. Their bullpen's really good. Their lineup isn't good enough. Can they just do the thing that makes all three of their areas good? Can they just please, for the love of God, do that one extra move? It's one extra move you can do that completely changes the outlook of your team.
100% in agreement.
For once, do it, please. That's probably what Nolan said to you. Hey, there's areas that are not good enough. You need to make these areas good enough to compete, not just two of the three areas.
To play devil's advocate for all of those out there screaming that our pitching cannot compete with the Phillies, the Padres, the Braves, the Dodgers, the Mets, fill in the blank, the Brewers, whatever. Let's just not forget, and I put out a tweet today, our last two postseason, we did not lose any one of those 3 games because of our starting pitching. You go back to the Dodgers game that we lost against Max with a ton of opportunities to score. Waino goes 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run. You go to this year against the Phillies, Q goes 5 1/3, 2 hits, 0 earned runs. Miles goes 4 1/3, 1 earned run, and 2 hits. We're not.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Well, against my devil's advocate, is that a thing? Can you do that?
Yeah, double devil. Here's what I was saying.
Devil ain't okay. Whatever.
I get your point, and yes, while it is true, I'll bring you to the Guardians-Rays game that went 14 innings scoreless, and the Astros-Mariners game that went 18 innings scoreless. You've got to have guys that can compete with the other guys, top guys. You're going to have to win playoff games 1-0. You're going to have to.
What I'm saying is our guys did. Our guys
they didn't. They didn't. They gave up 2 runs. They didn't.
First of all, Q gave up 0. Miles gave up 1. Wayno
and Monty gave up 1. So now you've given up 2.
Monty didn't start a game.
No,
Monty didn't start.
He came in. He came in.
My point is, you just said
you're not listening to me. You've got to have guys that can match the aces. The aces are going to put up zeros. You've got to have a guy.
Did that.
They didn't. They didn't do it. Q did for 5 innings, but you didn't trust him. Stop.
So did Wayno.
Stop. No, he didn't. He gave a home run. We had a lead. He gave it up. It's a playoff.
Okay, but he matched him, Caleb. He gave up 1 run in 5 1/3.
I don't want you. Okay, that's not. Scherzer wasn't even good that game. We couldn't hit it. You're okay. I'm talking about last year. Stop. Quintana. Well, yes, he matched him with zeros for 5 innings. You didn't trust him enough to go any longer because you know he wasn't good enough. They knew it. That's why if they thought he was on the level of Zach Wheeler, they would have let him go another time through the lineup. But they didn't. They need to go get a guy that can go toe-to-toe with anybody that you go out there and face. If it's Zach Wheeler, I don't want to hear 3rd time through the lineup, Real Muto and Hoskins are coming up. I want, okay, this is my guy. 3rd time through the lineup, he's going to strike those 2 guys out. That's what they need. They don't need a guy that they have to take out because it's the 3rd time through the lineup. And that's who they have. That's all 5 of their pitchers that they have right now are those guys. And that is why, even in the short sample size, yes, they were fine, but they couldn't compete with those guys. They couldn't match them. And here's my thing as well, Dad. You can say that, but I would bet quite a bit of money that as you got deeper into the postseason, the rotation would have gotten exposed a little bit more as you were seeing the same guys over and over in a series. And say they even made it to the World Series. Could they have matched up with Valdez, Javier, and Verlander? No, not even close. So yes, in the very short sample size, they did well. And they might have done well the whole postseason. I don't know. But I do know that you need to have a guy in game 1, your game 1 starter, that there's no question who your game 1 starter is. You need to know who. Let me talk. Hold on. You need to know. Let me finish. Going in. Stop. Okay, well, let me finish.
Because Zach Wheeler wasn't great in the postseason.
He was great for the Cardinals. He was great against us. Can I finish what I'm saying? You need to go into the postseason next year knowing who your number 1 is. There can't be a question. You need to know. Like, there's trying to be an argument about who the number 1 starter is. And you need to have confidence in that guy to be able to pitch to the top of the order a 3rd time. If you don't have that, you're behind the 8 ball.
Okay, but we have also talked on here many times about how in the playoffs the game changes. It's 5 innings and get it to your bullpen. That's not. Zach, it is. It is.
Not for the team that won it
this year in the playoffs.
Not for the team that won it, was it?
4.5 ERA. 4.5 ERA against the Braves.
He was hurt.
Matchup there.
He was hurt.
He had a 1.38 ERA. So then don't tell me that you need to match up against Zach Wheeler.
You do. He shut you out. You scored 0.
He also had a 5.2 ERA in the World Series.
Yeah, against the best team in baseball. And that's not even. But that's not what I'm saying. That he was hurt.
Didn't do that. Or did that? They did that
because they threw 2 games. How many runs did Wheeler and Nola stop? How many runs did Wheeler and Nola give up in the first 2 games?
Caleb, Nolan and Goldie were 1 for 16. If that happens again next year, I don't give 2 fucks if you have Glasnow and you have.
Not true. You're wrong.
Rodon and Bassett, you lose.
That's not true. Altuve and Alvarez didn't hit a lick in the championship series, and their pitching carried them and they swept them. That's not true.
They made it to the championship series. They also have 4 other guys. We don't.
You think Goldie would have gone 0 for the postseason? Is that what you think? No, you got to have guys that can carry him when he's down, or you're not winning a World Series.
Against LA.
You're not winning a World. It was one game. He had a hit.
But
what do you want to do? Have a multi-hit game?
The last 3 postseason games. You can't win like that.
Okay, you know what? Also, that's so stupid. Altuve was 0 for his first 20, and they won, and they didn't lose a game
because they have Bregman, Alvarez, and
Wrong, because their pitching carried them. Their pitching went 18 innings in Seattle and didn't give up a run.
Okay,
you can't compete with that if you're the Cardinals.
I get it. But if we play in the Astros, it's in the World Series. Okay, so I'll take my chances there.
Okay, well then the Padres shut down the Dodgers.
The Braves starting pitching wasn't great. The Dodgers starting pitching wasn't great.
They were hurt.
Mets starting DeGrom and Scherzer both early exits. Like what?
DeGrom wasn't an early exit. He threw 6 innings. And
sorry, Scherzer early exit.
Okay, yes, Scherzer was. He was hurt. Like, let's go through this, Dad. Scherzer was hurt. The Braves, Fried was puking. Strider was hurt. Morton got hurt. Okay, Kyle Wright was fantastic.
Well, Strider didn't pitch this year in the.
Yes, he did. He pitched in Game 3.
Oh, that's right. He came back. I forgot he came back.
Dodgers, Urias was good. Really good. 2 games. Bueller was obviously out. Kershaw was hurt, so their rotation got decimated by injury. And Anderson was good. Tyler Anderson was great in the postseason. The Padres rotation, Darvish was great. Snell had some really good games. Musgrove was so good that they thought his greasy ears were making him cheat. They don't have a guy that can go out and do that when these other teams have 3 guys that can go out and do it, and the Cardinals don't have 1. They're not going to be able to win a World Series like that.
I get it, but again, I don't know. I think when it boils down to it, like that wasn't the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like starting pitching was not our problem.
It kind of was, Dad. It kind of was, because in Game 1, if you had a pitcher that was throwing like Quintana was, and you said, this is my ace, this is my guy, he's not coming out against Realmuto, he's not coming out against Hoskins, and guess what? Ryan Helsley doesn't throw 2 innings and they don't lose that game. But they had to overextend their bullpen because they didn't have a Game 1 starter that they trusted to be their Game 1 starter. They kind of did cost you Game 1.
Okay. I just think, I'm telling you, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Your Game 1 starter, Dad, in a postseason cannot be a guy that you have to plan around throwing to the 2 and 3 hitters a third time through the order. It can't. It has to be a guy like Jack Flaherty in 2019. If he was throwing like that, no way in hell would Ollie have taken him out. No way. He would have gone again. You've got to have a guy that you trust and you think that's my guy. I will live and die with that guy. They didn't. They'd rather live and die with their bullpen, and they died with it.
Okay. I'm just saying, I don't know.
I get the offense.
I wish I could find these stats because I can't for some reason. But
I get your point about the offense, Dad, but they've already addressed that as far as I'm concerned. Their biggest hole in the offense is now their 5-hitter. Like it's a big upgrade. So to me, they've already addressed the offensive problems. They've got to go address that second problem that they always ignore. And they always say, well, we addressed a little bit and we got a little bit better, so we can sell that. But we know this other part's probably going to weigh us down at some point. They've got to go fix it. Or I'm telling you what, Dad, we're going to waste Goldie. We're going to waste Nolan, their prime years. We're going to waste Wilson now that we have him, his prime years. He might not be great as all 5 years here. He might be. But you've got these 3 guys in their prime trending upwards right now. You've got to go take advantage of it, or you're just wasting all the money you're spending on them.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I wish I could find what I was trying to look for, but I can't.
But then this isn't for me, and I'm not trying to shit on Q. He was great. That's nothing against him. But to me, your number 1 guy in your postseason at home against the Phillies, 2 games. You know you have to win 2 games, a 3-game series. You should have enough confidence in that guy to not take him out in the middle of an inning where he is cruising, but you're playing matchups because you don't think he's good enough to be your number 1. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
You have to have a guy that you trust.
Yeah.
Zach
and again, please let me make it fair. And let me say, I've been on record. We need another start. I'm not arguing that. All I'm saying is the offense still has a lot of question marks around it. Goldie and Nolan, I love them. They have not performed in their last 3 postseason games. I don't care what you say. There were errors by both of them. They didn't hit. They haven't hit at all. And I know you're facing good pitch, and I get it. But we need guys who are going to hit good pitch. Like, they have to show up. And I said that going into the playoffs, that if those 2 don't show up, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter again next year. It just doesn't. We're not the Astros. We don't have the 5 all-stars that they have in their lineup. We have 3 now. Potentially, we're hoping others show up. We're hoping others become that. But as of right now, there's still a lot of question marks in our lineup.
Yeah. I do think getting to the lineup for some positivity here, because that just frustrates me that I do believe that they stop half measuring. Go all in, Walter White. Stop. I'm gonna be Mike. No more half measures, Walter. Go make the move. But
right.
I will say the lineup, man. If Tyler O'Neill, he's the X factor this year. If Tyler O'Neill is Tyler O'Neill, that lineup is gonna be scary. Maybe the best.
Yeah.
I think it has a chance to be the best lineup in baseball. Because we can talk about it right now, and really all these guys we have faith in, and at least being better. And we haven't even talked about Jordan Walker. Like it has a chance to be a dynamic lineup, and I don't want to see that be wasted because you just don't have a guy that can go out there and compete with a Zach Wheeler, with an Aaron Nola, with Justin Verlander's now in the National League.
Right. There is the argument from the devil's advocate of my devil's advocate of your devil's advocate of my devil's advocate of your devil's whatever. There is the idea that if everyone else in your lineup is hitting, potentially Nolan and Goldie don't put so much pressure upon themselves, which then changes their approach, changes what they're doing. I understand all of that. I get it. We need them to continue to be who they are, but then we have to have guys step up. Let's get to the mailbag because we spend enough time, I think, going through everything else, and we kind of want to hit on a few things here. I'll read them to you. You give me your kind of thoughts, all right? Because we've had a lot. We have a lot. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but we do have a bunch of things that have popped up, which I think is always fun to try to get to.
By the way, Dad, I know you're not looking at it right now, but the Suns and Pelicans are tied with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I was looking. I saw, and I'm missing the game right now.
Oh, they're up by 1.
There's that.
It's on. I'll keep you posted.
Shout out to Clayton Pilger on Facebook. I think you went to high school with Clayton, correct?
I did. I played golf with him.
Yeah. Do what? Do you see some sort of trade for another bullpen arm or an outfield?
A trade for either? No.
Mm-hmm. No. Okay. You think if there's a trade, it's going to be for a starting pitcher?
Yes, it should be.
Okay.
Unless Liam Hendricks becomes available and they want to go all in on another bullpen guy, which I'd be all for, by the way, if they want to do that.
Right. Right.
But no, I don't. Not an outfielder, not a bullpen guy. I don't think Brian Reynolds is a realistic possibility for the Cardinals. I do think there is a chance that they still sign a left-handed bat. I don't think they need to personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go sign a Brantley type. That wouldn't surprise me.
I think he could get more money than you think, dude.
I don't because he hasn't been signed yet. That's why I don't think so. Okay. I don't know how big the market is for him.
I mean, it's still only December. Let's relax. Like we keep saying, still hasn't signed yet. It's December 11th.
Yes, but the longer this draws on, the more that you're starting to realize there's not a bidding war going on for him.
All right, let's get to YouTube for a few. You ready for these?
Yeah.
After we talked about the outfield last time, Tyler O'Neill's a stud. This is from Roderick. Well, Rockin' 24W. So shout out Rockin' 24W. 24 Kobe fan, maybe? All right.
I don't know.
Is a stud. 5 tools, should be training for center field. Fourth place hitter. I like Donovan, Goldie, Arenado, O'Neill. Then you have a lefty, a DH, Contreras, Newt. I think we're all in the same boat with Carlson and Edmund as well. That's a pretty good group right there. You can put them in whatever order you want. We're in agreement on Tyler O'Neill. We've been Tyler O'Neill fans. I got destroyed by a few people on Twitter because I dared to say that I think Tyler O'Neill's going to have a bounce back year, and all people want to do is come after him because he was hurt for 1 year. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, the man played 88% of his games in the 2 years prior. He finished 8th in the MVP. He has one bad year, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, this guy's injury prone. That's not how
those are the same people, Dad, that want Cody Bellinger. So just keep that in
mind. That's fair. Or
Tyler O'Neill. I do like Michael Conforto. I really do. If he was cheap, I would love for him to take a flyer on him, but he's not going to be cheap. Tyler O'Neill, no on center field for me. No on batting fourth for me. Because Nolan Arenado, his splits are night and day between batting third and fourth. Nolan Arenado is batting fourth. And Lars Nootbaar and Dylan Carlson are the only guys I even considered playing in center field. But yes, he should be playing left field and batting second or third in my lineup. That's what I would have personally.
Yep. From Dennis Falstrom. This was after we talked about Contreras. Why give Contreras a 5-year contract with his terrible health record? Didn't we just dump Fowler because he had such a poor health record? One, Contreras does not have a poor health record. We already discussed that last year. Like, he doesn't. He's a catcher. He's going to catch 100 games for you unless something fluky happens. First of all, let me explain this also. It's major league professional fucking sports. Injuries happen. Like, I don't know what you want to say. Like, these guys are giving it their all every night. People do get hurt. Mike Trout has been hurt every year for the last 5 years. Are we calling him injury prone and we don't want him in our lineup? So just
also not injury prone. People like to look at the stop.
Hold on. Let me get to this final point. Contreras has averaged a little over 100 games a year the last 7 years with the Cubs.
Catcher.
We talked about this. Look, I agree that that is one of the things with catchers. There's 2 guys out there who catch more than 120 games. Sean Murphy, we saw what they wanted for that, and JT Realmuto. That's it.
You want to know why as well? He averaged that amount. One, because he's a catcher, and there was no DH in the National League, right? So back in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, right? If he was playing, he had to be catching. Okay, so let's look at it that way. where they had Miguel Montero. They had guys like that who were catching, who were backups for him. So he caught 138 games in 2018, or played 138 games.
Yeah.
And some of those were in the outfield, I believe. Some of them were catching, most of them.
Yeah.
Probably not many because Rizzo. But like now that there's a DH, you have way more opportunities to get him in the game. And while taking him off his feet from behind the plate and keeping him in your lineup. That's why they did it. The game has changed, guys. It's not – yes, he only played 105 games in 2019. He was catching. So he's not going to catch every game because he's not Yadier Molina. Because guess how many Yadier Molinas there have been? One Yadier Molina. There's been one.
Yeah.
That's why he was special. That's why he'll be in the Hall of Fame. That's my view. Also, Dexter Fowler, they got rid of him because he sucks, not because he was hurt. Okay, next.
You mean humanity is not happy with our outfielders? The answer is no. We have a bunch of outfielders who cannot hit, cannot stay healthy, and are overrated. We don't agree with there, but he's very angry at our outfielders. This guy would love Twitter. I think he's probably one of the guys we talk to on Twitter.
Here's the thing. I understand the hesitancy and reluctance of rolling Carlson and Tyler back out there and relying on them. I do get that. I can't say that I don't understand where you're coming from. Here's my thing. Tyler O'Neill is the most talented player on our baseball team. The most talented, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm not giving up on that guy 1 year removed from a top 10 MVP finish. Dylan Carlson, 24 years old, was dealing with an injury and still hit 30 doubles. Not giving up on him either because I don't even really want to. If he's batting 7th or 8th in your lineup and he even does what he did again last year and plays good defense, he's still a valuable player for you. But we know there's upside there. So his floor is an average hitter and his ceiling is 15-20% above average hitter. Like that's attainable next year.
So I don't agree. He does say that we have some good in the pipeline. That is true. This guy, hey, shout out to him. He misses the outfield of Gilkey, Langford, Brian Jordan. So do I, buddy. Those are three of my favorite Cardinals of all time. Met Bernard Gilkey at about 2 a.m. at White Castle. Super nice dude. Super nice guy. Just said, hey, Bernie, how are you? He smiled at me. It was a nice exchange. No dap, no high five. Just say, hey, I was in a different altered state. I believe he might have been as well. That's all I'm saying. Couple other things.
I missed the outfield of Matt Holliday, John Jay, and Alan Craig personally, but that's just me.
Chris Widener, O'Neill is going to be an all-star and on the MVP shortlist. He's playing for millions and training accordingly. We agree, buddy. We agree, Chris. We're on board with that. Nick Elliott, if there's any chance that Pittsburgh trades Reynolds, the Cardinals better be all over that. I think we talked about that, and I think we're in full agreement.
Yep, they should be, but I'm not in the camp of go all in to get him.
Yep.
Like I would be in on it for sure, and I would kick it around. But I'm not going all in. Like the all in, I'm not trading Mason Wynn. I'm sorry, not happening.
Thomas Tigert, double T. Wilson just put up a career offensive year in the Cubs lineup where his only protection was Patrick Wisdom, also former Cardinal. Excited to see what he can do with Goldie and Arenado around him. As it turns out, according to Gould, the A's wanted Newt Donovan, which we talked about. Tommy, we agree with that 100%.
The only thing I have to say is don't disrespect Ian Happ. He was also there, and I love that man.
Lincoln Land Picker. Do you believe
picks Lambs?
Guitar?
No, I think he picks Lambs. Is it Lamb Picker?
No, Lincoln Land, Illinois. What do you think I said?
I thought you said Lamb. I thought you said Lamb Picker.
No, Lincoln Land. Still wish the Cardinals could get a starter. We just talked about that. Contreras, great find. He's good now, and I think he'll be much better by the end of 23. I think we're in agreement with that. We really love those. So thank you, guys. There's more. We couldn't get to all of them, I know. But first of all, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for
100 subscribers.
I actually really enjoy doing that. Yeah, we're up over 100. Hey, one last time. While you're on there, there's a lot of you that are on there, and we greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much for this. We are having a blast. Hopefully, we got a few big announcements coming in the next couple months. Kale's supposed to be getting some guests. He's too busy with finals. Wait, which is more important? I don't know. Maybe getting a guest for the fucking podcast versus your final?
I need to get this done and never think about these classes again.
But while you are, what is the score of the Pels game, by the way?
They're up 1 with 20 seconds left.
Fuck off. I'm not watching it.
Okay. Well, just hurry up and end the podcast and go watch it. They're going to commercial.
Well, yeah, here you go. Hey, while you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. You guys are absolutely awesome. Hopefully, we've got some more Cardinal news soon. We will be back later this week. If something big happens, we'll be back sooner than that. Tell a friend. We greatly appreciate you. Stay safe. I'm forgetting all the things.
Just say it. Just end it.
Catch you later. Cheers.